Excellent. All right. Well, welcome everybody. I'd like to introduce Mark Hayward, District Director with the SBA. We have received a lot of questions regarding the EIDL loan. And so Mark and his team have decided to join us for a Zoom to answer questions and just to kind of show us where we're going in the process moving forward. So Mark, I'm going to turn it over to you. If you have, if anyone has questions, you're welcome to go ahead and put those in the chat, or you can do the regular Zoom etiquette of raising your hand and we can stop and address those as we go.
Thanks, Caroline. Appreciate it. I think everybody is just coming out of the holiday time, and hopefully everybody was successful. Bob, it's good to see you. I spent some time at the one in East Providence, just FYI. It's always great. You know, it's really interesting because we've dealt with a lot of individuals who have had EIDL loans, and I think the most important thing for us is to make sure that you understand your responsibilities as it relates to the EIDL loans. And I know Ann is going to go through a lot of the different idiosyncrasies about EIDL, economic injury disaster loans. And the one thing at the very top that I just want to get across to everybody, it's a loan. It's not a grant. Do not anticipate that this is going to be forgiven. It will not. Statutorily, it cannot be forgiven. The economic injury disaster loans are out there. A lot of people have held them in abeyance, and even though you've had a 30-month deferment, basically they're looking at what do we see coming down the aisle, and that's completely fine. And I think one of the things that we want to make sure is that everybody is registered, that they're conscientious of the fact that they do have an EIDL loan and that they need to repay it. And Ann is going to get into all of the different elements of the economic injury disaster loan. On the call with us is Matt Spare. Matt is the he is the lead economic development specialist. Ann is our COVID up person. She's been with us. She's the former district director in Connecticut, and we were very fortunate that we could grab her and kind of, even though Ann, you thought you were out, we grabbed you and brought her back. And she's been with us for a couple of years, and she will be with us until September. So we're really fortunate to have her. Former district director out of Connecticut, now our specialist on all things COVID. Ann Hunt.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Mark. Okay, so we're just going to delve in. So, Caroline, if we could get the PowerPoint presentation up. And as Caroline said, we're recording this session, and we will be providing a copy of this presentation to you at the end too. I think it's going to be a great resource for you. So, today, we're going to discuss where you can find your COVID EIDL loan details. We're talking about the Capital Access Financial System, known as CAVS. We'll talk about how to view your loan details, how to make payments, and really, most importantly, who to contact if you need any help. Today, basically, we're going to be providing you the resources to get you set up in CAVS, and after we go through the session, you're going to try to get yourself into the system. And if you're not able to, again, we're going to be here to help you do that. So, Caroline, if you could advance the slide, please. Okay, so just an overview of the EIDL program. In total, $390 billion went out under this program to 3.9 million small businesses. And everyone that got an EIDL loan over the tenure of the program, it did allow for increased maximum funding amounts. So hopefully you got as much as you possibly could. It ultimately extended a 30-month deferral on this loan. So you took this loan out probably in 2020, and now really it's time to pay the piper. We did broaden the use of funds, which did include the allowance for you to use proceeds to pay down debt. And at its peak, we were processing as an agency $1 billion in 50,000 applications per day. And the average loan size is under $100,000, and 90% of the loans went to very, very small businesses with 10 employees or less. Next slide, Caroline. So this just gives you an idea. I think you will mostly all be from the Rhode Island area. So in Rhode Island, we approved 12,000 EIDL loans for over $1 billion. So that's a big number for Rhode Island. And in terms of grants that were part of this program, over 16,000 businesses in Rhode Island received grants. So that is a very active program in Rhode Island. Next slide, Caroline.
Yeah, I just want to add to that,
ahead.
Ann, if I could.
Yeah.
Total disbursements between PPP and all of the grant programs was a little over $4 billion in the state of Rhode Island, which is pretty significant. I know a lot of people got PPP, and we just wanted to make sure that everybody understands just $1 billion in EIDL loans is very significant from our standpoint. Okay.
Yep. Okay. So I think a few people have said this already, and it can't be stated enough. Unlike the PPP loans, the COVID EIDL loan is a loan and it has to be paid. It's not a grant and it will not be forgiven. So I think that there were a lot of holdouts out there thinking that, oh, let's see, you know, things are changing. We've got longer deferments and hopefully this will be forgiven, but it will not. So it is a loan written over 30 years. As I said earlier, your payments were deferred for 30 months. So your monthly payments are calculated from the day that you initially signed your note with SBA. It's important to note that interest has been accruing during this 30-month deferment period. We'll talk about that. You are responsible for making monthly payments until the loan balance is paid in full. There will, because of that deferral period, be a balloon payment at the end of the loan. Just be aware of that. And no prepayment penalty. So this is, again, a 30-year loan. A lot is going to happen over 30 years. So if you find yourself having a very good month or year, you can certainly throw additional monies against this loan to get this loan paid off early. And it's in this bullet at the end here. It's an important one. You want to avoid loan default because these loans will be reported to credit bureaus. If you do not pay us, the government has ways to get their money back. Tax refunds could be garnished. And it would, if you're not paying us back and you have, if we have to write off the loan, it will prevent you from receiving any additional government financing down the road. So you definitely want to pay attention to this loan. I'll be talking about ways, if you are having issues with your business and you need some relief, that is definitely a possibility. And we'll be talking about that. Don't put your head in the sand if you can't pay the loan. Be forthright, upright with us, and SBA will work with you. Next slide.
And do you have a slide in here about subordinations or no?
Yes, I do, Mark. Yeah.
Okay, great. The other thing is it's 30 years at 3 3/4% for the for-profits. So that's pretty good money right now.
Yep. So what one job that you have to do, and anyone in the audience, I'd be curious if you want to just type in the chat if you've been able to get into the system or if you've tried to get into the system and were unsuccessful. I'd be curious because we have been doing a lot of webinars. There's been a lot of communication from our disaster office about these loans coming up and being due and to set yourselves up in CAS. But you are required to create an account in, again, what we call the Capital Access Financial System. There is a link here to step-by-step instructions. I do have a copy of the slides at the end of this presentation. We really won't go over it. That really does spoon feed you, go step-by-step how you get into the system. And in the system, it's going to allow you to view your loan details, your payment amounts, your due dates. And I have a copy of what the lender portal will look like for you in a future slide. Next slide. Okay, so again, the link to the PowerPoint presentation, I have put all the slides in the back end of this presentation, but this number and email address is very important. I think I have it in here quite a few times. If you have any issues with enrolling in this system, the CAB support number is listed here. It's 833-572-0502. And there is additionally an email address, and they are very proactive and very responsive to getting you into the system. I've had issues. Some people have changed their email accounts from the day that they put in an application 30 months ago, and that can trigger an error. So there are issues that have occurred over 30 months. So the CAB support line will be able to help you get through the system if you do run into any glitches at all. Next slide. So once you get into the system, there's a lot of information that you can glean from this. Again, you can see your loan balance, that interest accrued that we talked about. If you want to pay off the loan, you can find out what your payoff balance would be. It will tell you what your payment amount and your next installment amount. And again, there's a slide further on that will show you exactly what it looks like. Next slide. And again, this is where you would get set up for the system, where you log in, and this is the support information, the phone number and email address. Next. Okay, so this is really a copy of the note that you signed, again, 30 months ago, and you're going to need your loan number, and you're going to get that loan number from your note. So if you can just go, if you cannot find it, there'd be an electronic email from SBA Disaster. If you go around the time that you think you got the loan, whether it was April 2020 or September, just go in there and find it, and you'll find the note and your loan note. Again, your first payment is going to be due 30 months from the date of the note, regardless if your loan was increased. Whenever you received your first disbursement on the loan, that's when that 30-month clock starts. Your note is in the original loan documents, as I said, that you got that electronically. And on the note, you'll see the issue date, the loan amount, and the interest rate that you did pay. And if you cannot find that in your email, you're going to reach out to the SBA Disaster Customer Service Office to obtain a copy. And I have that contact information as well a little bit later. Next slide. Okay, so when you get into the system, you're going to search the dashboard. This is all tied to your Social Security number. So you can put in your Social Security number, and that will bring up your borrower record. Next. Okay, so making payments. So as I stated earlier, business received this loan during the raging days of COVID. You probably didn't even know what you were getting into. You probably did receive PPP loans or two, and hopefully those have now been paid in full. So again, this loan, as Mark said, it's 30 years at 3.75% for profit businesses, 2.75% for any nonprofit businesses. And when you get into the CAB system, there's in the blue bolded area, pay.gov. That's where you're going to go to make a payment to SBA. And the link is going to be within this CAB system that you get set up. It's important to note, SBA will not be sending out any paper statements. So I'm so happy you're on the call today and being proactive, because you really got to pay attention. And once you get into the system, you're going to see when your loans are due, or if they have already been due. I've been talking to people that actually had a payment due in December, and they have to get right back into the system to make sure that they reflect the current status on their loan. Next slide. Okay, so this is somewhat new. SBA recognizes that not all businesses have fully recovered from COVID, and especially you all in the hospitality industry. So SBA is offering a hardship accommodation plan. Eligible businesses will be able to make reduced payments for a 6-month period. Again, the interest will continue to accrue on these loans. you will be required to pay at least 10% of what your normal payment is, or at a minimum of $25 per month period. During the hardship period, you can voluntarily make larger payments if you wish. Again, if you have a good month, you can throw that down there. And then regular monthly payments will resume after 6 months. However, if you do need to get that renewed, SBA is going to work with you. Next slide. So depends on the loan amount that you did receive from SBA. If your loan is $200,000 or less, you can enroll for the accommodation plan right in the CAV system. And it's pretty automatic that you will get that relief. If your loan, however, exceeds $200,000, you do have to reach out to our disaster customer service. The information is listed here, and they will be in contact with you and discuss what additional information you're going to have to provide to them to get that accommodation. So this is what the borrower portal actually will look like in the CAV's system. As you can see to the top right, you'll see what your current principal balance is, what your daily interest accrual amount is, what your accrued interest is to date. And again, if you ever wanted to pay us off, what that payoff balance would be. On the left side has the original date and the maturity date of your loan, and then it will have your payment information listed here as well. So it's important to note the way SBA loans work. We work on a simple interest rate. However, as I said, the interest has been accruing since the day you received any money under the EIDL loan. So any payments that you make to SBA will go initially to any outstanding interest accrued, and that may take some months to get that paid down. And then once you satisfy all that accrued interest, any excess amounts will then go to any principal reduction. So you're at any time able to make additional payments on this loan. Again, it will go though to the interest first, and then additionally to any principal payments. And any payments concerns, you can visit sba.gov/pay for updates. And the loan documents, again, list the rights and remedies of you if you do miss a payment, which we talked about a little bit earlier. So definitely you don't want to be missing payments. Next slide, please. So because this is a 30-year loan, a lot can happen to your business during that time. So if you do need to have your loan amended, let's just say that you run into an issue because you have a restaurant and they're going to be doing road construction in front of your restaurant and no one can get there. So you probably would want to ask SBA for a deferment, and pretty easy to do. You're going to reach out to the disaster office and just say, you know, I have road construction in front of my building. No one can get to me. I need a deferment for 3 months. You can ask for just a principal reduction, or you can ask for a principal and interest reduction. However, always know that interest is never gonna stop accruing. So all of the Rhode Island loans are serviced out of the Birmingham Service Center. If you do have questions about your loan, if there's an address change on your business, you're going to contact customer service at disaster customer service. If you need any changes to your business, as Mark said, am I going to talk about subordinations and the like? So again, 30 years, you may want to or need to take on additional funding. Maybe you need to buy a big piece of equipment for your business, and any lender that's going to finance that obviously wants to get a first position on what they're financing. SBA is going to be very amenable to doing any type of subordinations. SBA really, our mission is not only to get people in business, but probably more importantly, to keep them in business. So anything that is needed to help your business survive, SBA is really going to want to work with you, and in any way we can. And also, let's just say you want to sell your business in 10 years. You can certainly do that. or this loan can get assumed by another individual, but you cannot do anything without the permission of SBA. And that also includes if you need to do any type of partial collateral release. You're going to contact the Birmingham office. Their email and phone number are here. Again, we're going to approve anything that makes sense, that's reasonable and going to keep that business employing folks and being successful. Next slide.
And hang on, Ann, I
Yep.
just want, I want to talk a little bit about the subordinations. You know, we have been teaching our participating lenders on how to routinely go and ask for a subordination. It's not very difficult. Every once in a while they get hung up, and Ann and myself or Matt will just jump in there and go to Birmingham and get them to move it along. So if you run into those situations when you're dealing with your specific lenders, you need additional working capital, you need another loan, make sure that they understand that they have got to go, you have an EIDL loan, they've got to go to Birmingham. I keep saying Little Rock. Little Rock's for regular servicing. So that you can move that, you know, through as quickly as possible. That's really critical. And the other thing is, we want to make sure that they don't have any excuses whatsoever to cause you to be in default. And I think the third part of that, Ann, can you go back to that last slide?
Yeah, Caroline, gonna do it. There you go. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. And that is UCCs and the partial release of collateral. That is a huge issue for Birmingham. So make sure that UCCs are all in place. We don't have a problem with the release of collateral, but you have to go through that process. If you're working with a lender, you know, ask those questions or call the district office, and we'll make sure that you get through whatever you need. 12,000 loans to Rhode Island businesses is a lot of loans, and $1 billion is a lot of money. We want to make sure that we get you what you need to continue that operation. Okay, Ann, I'm going back on mute.
Okay, next slide. So we put this slide together. Oh, no, the one with that chart right there. Yeah. We put the slide together for you so you know where to go for help. So if you have questions about any COVID EIDL payment, payoff address, you're going to contact the disaster area customer service, their email and phone number there. If you need any question or need changes to your loan that relates to selling your business, you're going to reach out to the Birmingham office, any collateral release or whatever. And if you need help, if you're having trouble logging into the Capital Access Financial System, that is their phone number and email. So unfortunately, we have it rather confusing. Where do you go? But I think this slide and gives you a little roadmap where to go. I would recommend getting a copy of this presentation and just keeping this in your files with your other closing documents, because again, you're going to be living with this loan over 30 years and something's going to happen. You're going to say, geez, where do I go to get this done? So this is where you go to get that done. Next slide. So this is something, I pulled this right from the SBA website. It's called Managing Your EIDL Loan. So all of these links are live. You can read about the program that you received your money under. The COVID EIDL loan is unlike any other loan that SBA ever did. It had a lot of different nuances. So what's up there now is the regular disaster loans like the hurricanes in Florida, but COVID was a little different. So if you want to learn about the specifics of the program updates are there. The financial hardship link, requesting subordinations, the contact information, it's all right here. If you click on these links, and again, just get the copy of this presentation, you'll have that resource information for you. Next slide. Okay, so because a lot of businesses still have lingering effects of COVID, we want to make sure that you're aware of the free resources that we have here in Rhode Island for you. So even if you're good with your EIDL payments, you may want to connect with one of our resource partners to talk about what's going on with your business, your current business situation. They can help with most issues, what they can help you with if you do need to ask. Let's say we go back to, you need a deferment, you're having a difficult time paying your loan, they can help you with projections, and they can determine how much of a loan monthly you're able to afford. And with the background of a good projection, SBA is going to be more likely to grant whatever you need, because it's going to be credible and you're working with one of our resource partners. Additionally, you may need additional money for your business, so they can help you with projections and determine how much of a new loan you could afford after factoring all the other debts that might be out there. So please take advantage of these resources, because it's your tax monies that are paying for their services. So why not take advantage of them? Next slide.
And Maggie Longo is still with the SBDC, and she was hired specifically to assist restaurants, and restaurateurs. So if you need any
you have to do better
assistance.
than that, right? So we have a few resources. I'll just go through here quickly. I have the contact information, their websites here, but the first one we have is SCORE, and these are volunteers that work with small business owners. They provide marketing advice, business plan preparation. They do a lot of one-on-one training. They do a lot of counseling, and the beauty of SCORE is that you can match up with someone that might have been in the same business that you're operating in. And again, they were successful in their own right. So they are a fantastic resource. Next slide. If you're a woman-owned business, you can utilize, or you don't have to be a woman-owned business, you can utilize the services of the Women Business Center. Again, all of our resource partners pretty much do the same thing, consulting, training, workshops. It's really where you feel most comfortable. You don't have to pick any of these. Uniquely, you can work with all of them. And again, I'm sure you'll get some useful information from all of them. So it's up to you who you would like to reach out to. Next slide, please. Small Business Development Centers, Mark just said, you have someone right there in the hospitality business. You can't get any better than that. The Small Business Development Centers, how they differ from SCORE is that they have paid staff. So they're in the office Monday through Friday, unlike SCORE, who the counselor may work one day a week or maybe go to Florida during the winter or whatever. These staff members at the SBDC are paid staff. And again, they are great at helping with loan application assistance. If you're looking to export your product or get into government contracting, they are terrific with that. And again, their contact information is listed here, but definitely want to go to Maggie because you have a front row seat to get her assistance. Next slide. And then for any of our veterans out there, we also have an outreach center just for you and your spouse, and that contact information is here as well. Next slide. Okay, Caroline, if we could just go through this very, very quickly. This is that PowerPoint that I said that really, I just put the slides in here because this is really going to spoon feed you how to access the CAV system. So just keep on clicking through these, Caroline. Just keep going. Gives you step one, just follow the numbers, very, very easy. Just really, again, it's probably very simple, but sometimes very simple is great. It just walks you right through the system. So I think that will be helpful for anyone that has not, you can keep going, that has not yet got into the system. I'd be curious, did we get anyone in the chat that said they're in the system or they've started paying?
And nobody in the chat.
No one was brave enough, huh? Okay, let's continue on then. Okay, so I'm just going to go through the top questions that we have received. If people are asking these questions time and time again, I'm sure you might have the same question. So a big one is, does my COVID EIDL loan have to be repaid? The answer, as you've heard a few times, is yes. Next slide. Okay, how do I find out when my first payment is due? Again, you're going to sign up for the CAV system, and right there, like I showed you on your bar or portal, it's going to show you when that payment is due. So you can, here's again the information to get signed up, and if you have any trouble, the contact information. Next question. Where do I make payments? Again, the payments are going to be through that Capital Access Financial Service, the Pay link button. Really, you want to consider, I would recommend setting up monthly auto payments. There's a slide at the end that tells you how to do that. Therefore, you don't have to be remembering to make these payments because we're not going to be sending out, again, paper invoices. You got to remember to pay it. So it's probably going to make sense because this is a 30-year loan to set up those monthly auto payments. Next slide. Okay, is there a penalty for prepayment or extra payments to reduce my loan? As I had said, there are no penalties. So again, if you do have some good months and you want to get out of this thing before 30 years, you can always just put those payments through pay.gov. And again, it's going to go first to, again, interest accrued, and then the additional amount will go to the principal. Next one. What happens if I default on my COVID EIDL loan or I am unable to make payments? So as I said, don't put your head in the sand and ignore this. Be upfront with SBA, tell us what's going on, take advantage of our resource partners, get yourself signed up for that hardship. We know there are some businesses that even though 30 months has gone by, you still need some relief. And that is something that we can work with you on. So again, make sure you're upfront with us, reach out to us and we will work with you. Next slide. How do I log? Okay, so I don't know if we have any nonprofits out there, but if there are some nonprofits, you're going to have to call our Birmingham Loan Office Servicing Center, and you're going to have to use your social security number to give you access to the nonprofit loan. And again, the Birmingham Loan Center information is on this slide too. Next slide. Okay, so as I said, this loan program has gone away. We stopped accepting loans a while ago. So the nuances of the program are really hard to find on the SBA website. So I did provide a link here so you can learn about the program if you have any questions. Next slide. What should a small business do if they're looking to sell or have an ownership change or if a borrower dies? Okay, so for everything, as I said before, you must obtain SBA approval before making any changes to your loan. And again, you're going to reach out to the Birmingham Loan Center. Be upfront with us. Again, if it makes sense for whatever you want to have done to your loan, SBA is going to take a look at that and work with you. Next question. Can I combine my traditional SBA loan with my COVID? No. Borrowers can have more than one disaster loan. Like, again, usually EIDL loans are for when a physical disaster hits, such as the hurricanes, and different businesses get struck a few times with hurricanes, maybe every 5 years or whatever. You can have multiple of those, but only one COVID loan. So each loan will be a separate loan and cannot be consolidated. Next one. Where can I get a copy? So again, look in your email, search SBA for around the time that you think you got your money. If you cannot put your hands on the documents, you're going to reach out to the Disaster Customer Service Center. Next one. What are the uses of my proceeds? So hopefully this hopefully isn't too little too late, but the EIDL loan can only be used for working capital, to make regular payments for your operating expenses, including payroll, rent, mortgage, utilities, and other ordinary expenses. And as I said earlier, we did add the ability to pay business debt. Hopefully you didn't use this money to go buy a building or buy a car. Hopefully you used it for working capital. Next one. Okay, so here is the how to set up the recurring payments. You go to pay.gov, it'll walk you through it. There's some FAQs here. I would strongly recommend getting yourself signed up for the recurring payments. I think it's just going to make your life easier. And because this loan was written over a 30-year period, the reason why they did that is to make that monthly payment as small as possible. Because again, you have these programs are for businesses that had an issue with something. So that's why the loan is written for such a long time. But again, if you want to get out of it earlier, there's no problem ever paying more money or paying it off at any time. Next question. Okay, so I want you to stay in touch with us. This is our email address. Please follow us on Twitter. More importantly, please sign up for our newsletters. We talk about a lot of our upcoming events. We do a lot of trainings in the Rhode Island office. The newsletters will have the trainings that are put on by our resource partners. So there's so much going on in Rhode Island. If you sign up for our newsletters, you'll be in the know, and you'll learn about different training opportunities that you wouldn't have known about that will help your business. Next slide. Okay, and then if you could, when you get this deck, take a minute to provide feedback on how we're doing. SBA wants to monitor our customer satisfaction with us and what we're doing for you all. So we would appreciate your time and feedback on this. Next slide. And then finally, this is my contact information. Again, no question is silly. My email address is here. My phone number is here. So after you receive this information, try to go through that step-by-step process to get yourself enrolled into CAVS. But again, you might run into some issue. Reach out to me. No question is silly. Just reach out to me and I'll try to help you in any way I can. So that's the end of the presentation, but we can certainly open it up for questions at this point. If anyone was not brave enough to do a chat, but would like to ask a verbal question, we're here for you.
Any questions out there?
Nothing in the chat.
Is that, I guess, maybe that's a good thing.
You did a good job.
We went over all that info. Again, it's a lot to take in, but again, my recommendation is print off a copy of this PowerPoint presentation because you are going to access different offices based upon what your need is. But again, reach out to me and I can be the quarterback to direct you to the appropriate place if you have any questions.
Hey, Tracy or Caroline, are you going to send this out to the masses or how are you going to do it? Just send it out to the people who signed up.
The slide deck, is that what you mean, Mark?
Yeah, the deck.
Yes, we can do that. We can send that out.
Yeah, if you could send that out, that'd be very helpful. Thank you.
Will do. All right, if there are no more questions, then we will go ahead and end this Zoom. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your
Thank you,
Wednesday.
everyone.
Thank
Happy
you,
New Year,
Mark.
everyone. Good luck with your businesses. Bye-bye.
Bye.